Yesterday, we had the chance to ask our members who built games, blockchain games, what strategy they have in terms of integrating wallet solutions. And it was very interesting to see custodial, non-custodial wallet for their games. Do they fully believe in full self-custody to the players? It was an interesting talk we had with them, actually, and we encourage you actually to check out that content that we published yesterday and actually 2 days ago. And what would be very interesting to see is we had those feedback from blockchain game companies around that custodial, non-custodial wallet. And today I'm very pleased to welcome our members who are actually building these solutions, these wallet solutions. And it will be very interesting to have their opinion about that related to games. But first, before diving into that subject, I would like to take a few minutes to ask everyone if they can introduce themselves, starting with you, Carl, if you can start introducing Sequence and what you do as well.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Carl. I lead business development and partnerships over at Horizon Blockchain Games. We are the team behind the Sequence Smart Wallet and Web3 tool stack. So we have a smart wallet product that is really focused on solving the full user onboarding process, doing that in a fully non-custodial way. So a bit of a hint there to what I feel about answering this question. And then also a Web3 tool stack that's really focused on helping and enabling games and dApps to build better Web3 applications. Apart from Sequence, we also, at Horizon, we also built out Skyweaver, which is a free-to-play online trading card game. So while I've got my Sequence hat on today, I probably am cheating a little bit because I can also speak from a development of a Web3 game perspective. So yeah, happy to chat and really excited to see what the consensus is from these other gentlemen on the panel.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the game for sure because it's a good way to understand the wallet itself and the experience of having a wallet within a game. So very glad to have you, Carl. Andrey, same things. Could you introduce yourself and Magic Square?
Sure. Thank you for having me here. My name is Andrey Naiman. I'm CEO and founder of Magic Square, Web3 App Store. Right now, we have 250,000 users registered to our platform and more than 300 listed apps, and we are still in closed beta. We are the first discovery platform for products. Our goal is to create a unified ecosystem when people outside of the crypto world can come, discover, and use Web3 apps in the most simple way without learning curve, and based on our experience so far, we are achieving the goal. People staying on the platform, we see retention, and actually this is the main goal, not just to create a platform when people come in for one time, they need to stay. They need to have a reason to stay, to use the platform. And of course, we're using wallets. We created a product that's called Magic ID. It's our decentralized ID. It's non-custodial. I see that the right solution is something hybrid, because for non-professional users, it's much more easier to use custodial solutions. And I believe that we will open and discuss it in through this session. Thank you.
It is starting perfectly because both Carl and you are already answering the question I wanted to ask just after about actually, in your opinion, custodial or non-custodial wallets. So you're making it easy for me. I appreciate it. And obviously very glad that we have you to talk about Magic ID. We will dive into that just after. Adrian, I think it's the first time I see you not in real life, so it's a pleasure to see you with us today. Could you introduce yourself and Wombat?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Flav, and thanks to the others. So thanks for watching. I'm Adrian. I'm the founder and CEO of Spielworks. We basically do two main things. One is Wombat, which is a game platform that also uses a wallet or has a wallet. And our kind of main concern is bringing gamers from traditional games into the Web3. We've done that very successfully by adding gamification using NFTs and crypto on top of traditional games. We've over 3 million signed up users. So that's one bet. And we also work as a game studio, so similar to Carl, similar setup. So we also run the Wombat Dungeon Master NFT staking game. So we're also obviously opening up to other wallet solutions there, and it's a very interesting question. For us, it's a lot about kind of a lot of the promise of NFTs and Web3 in gaming is around interoperability. So this is also how we're discussing custodial versus non-custodial.
Interesting. We will tackle that for sure. Thanks, Adrian. Alex, it was a pleasure to have you for our new members presentation. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Now we can tackle that specific topic together. Could you also introduce yourself and what you do with Haechi Labs?
Hi, everybody. I'm afraid that this is going to be like a monthly ritual that I go on this BGA chat, which I'm happy to participate. My name is Alex. I'm head of business development at Haechi Labs. We are one of the first Web3 infrastructure companies started from Seoul, South Korea. We provide Web3 smart contract auditing to treasury management tool to Base Wallet, which is an in-game single sign-on wallet SDK. So we currently work with over 500 plus companies, enterprises, publicly listed corporates around the world to launch a Web3 service. In particular, we focus on helping some of the largest AAA game studios to launch a blockchain game, which is why we're particularly excited about this year, because the majority of our partners in Korea with some of the most successful Korean game titles are going to be either transitioned into a blockchain game or are coming up with a completely new game. We also have a joint venture with the largest bank out of South Korea and run our own custody service as well, helping enterprises to store and manage their digital assets for both coins and NFTs. So I think we have a pretty fair share of experiences in both non-custodial and custody. I'm afraid that I'm a bit biased for the non-custodial side because that's how Face Wallet operates, but I'm very excited for this conversation. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Thanks, Alex. And I think I will stay with you first with my first question, actually. We had, as I said, we had an interesting conversation with the members and blockchain game companies 2 days ago. Even if we all believe how powerful it is to claim the ownership of your assets, especially with what happened with centralized exchanges, Web3 games take into account the necessity to reach a massive amount of players who don't know anything about crypto. And I'd like to have your opinion around that, because it seems like even having a non-custodial wallet is something that you will need to take care of as a blockchain game company. It feels like if you would like to onboard a massive amount of players, you need to take into account that you need to have a very smooth process. Because the acquisition phase is really expensive, and blockchain could be a very big barrier of entry. So what do you think? What's your belief?
Sure. I think related to the topic of today's panel, I think there are many ways to sort of skin this cat in terms of what are the major factors that a gaming company considers when launching a blockchain, particularly for a wallet solution, right? And I think custody is definitely an important piece of it. It has a lot of legal implications, especially in South Korea, let alone a few other East Asian countries like Japan. I think China is kind of on its own. But I think that besides the legality related custody / non-custodial aspect, I think at the core of it, the bulk of the conversation is around the actual UI UX piece, and in particular, the inconvenience that users are facing by MetaMask, particularly the security aspect. Wallet is a risk business. Game companies do not want to deal with any sort of CS tickets related to anything crypto, particularly around users losing their digital assets. So I think that in the general sense, two reasons that game companies lean towards non-custodial solutions, at least out of Korea, is one, if you're running a Web3 service, just in the grand scheme of things, and you're taking the custody of end users' assets by using a custodial solution, then technically you are required to run a service with the virtual asset service provider license out of South Korea under the domestic jurisdiction, right? So that obviously puts a huge hindrance to be able to launch and operate a Web3 game with a custodial solution. And the second part is, as mentioned before, when it comes to the actual operation of a Web3 service, they just don't want to be bombarded with any sort of risk that comes with running a wallet solution, whether it's related to their technology, whether it's related to security part, which is why they tend to lean toward partners like us who have, far more experiences in the blockchain specific side. So our message is very clear, which is just focus on building a game only, and we'll help you with the blockchain side of things.
Awesome. Very, very interesting. And based on what you just say, UI, UX, the convenience of the platform, Andrey, I know that you're putting a lot of effort to have these not marketplace, but these platform when you can actually, as a users, you can access a large number of games directly by using your own wallet as well, and you have different possibility in using a wallet. So what do you think about that self-custody? What's your strategy at Magic Square?
Thank you for the question. And it's not so simple. Yeah, because if we are talking about mass adoption, custodial solutions are way better than non-custodial. Because if you're really trying to hit the holy grail of the crypto industry and to bring 1 billion users into crypto, many of them, they're not tech savvy. And to deal with seed phrases, establishing new wallet, and it's not simple for the newcomers. You need to understand why you're doing that. Most of the world, they're aware of crypto, the potential, and the charm, but together we have a learning curve. And I do believe that the learning curve, we should divide it into two. So the first step, you as a client, a newcomer, you of course can connect your non-custodial wallet, and we are supporting many wallets. So you don't actually need to have a new wallet. You can use your one. You can connect, all your wallet to Magic ID, and Magic ID is a solution that aggregates all your wallets, so you don't need to open another one. You can just use your existing one. It's aggregate all your socials, and your personal information into one digital identity, so you can use it to access all the apps and services. But for the newcomers, right now we're building quite different solutions. So I'm coming with my mail, I come in with my socials. I want to let you open your account and get access to everything with the old Web2 world. And once you're ready, I will take you to Web3. We'll assist you to open a wallet. To have a custodial wallet as a company, it's a risk. I want to become a I don't want to take the counterparty risk on us. Yeah, because in this case right now we have security engineers. We need to double, triple this unit in order to protect ourselves. So our solution is to stay in the custodial part, a non-custodial part, but with simple onboarding of the users. So you don't see the first thing that you need to see, that you have many options. You're not limited to wallets, because if you're limited to wallets, we're just analyzing all the data, and we see that people that come in without the previous knowledge about Web3, they just dropped out. And it decreased our conversion rate. At the end of the day, we're as a business company, as a corporate, we want to bring as many users as possible, and we want them to stay. So this process, we see it is very simple, intuitive, and right now we see the fruits. But I do believe that if the company will take on itself management of custodial services, and then the user will have two options to stay with custodial and non-custodial in the same solution, I do believe that it's going to be, greater for the end users.
Very interesting. Actually, on that note, Adrian, you claiming on your website, even through what you're doing as well, that you the easiest way to get started with Web3 games. So you have this mission to onboard players into Web3 with the smooth process. So how do you tackle that question of custodial or not custodial for your own strategy?
I mean, I mentioned that it's all about interoperability, right? And that actually gives you the answer to how you will have to handle this, essentially, right? Because it's impossible to have something that's fully interoperable. And we divide that into kind of three different types of interoperability. But anyway, it's impossible to be interoperable in terms of Web3 based game assets if you're custodial, right? You'll always have these barriers in between where, some solutions actually support this custodial wallet, right? And some others, like some other games, don't. And then you're losing this interoperability, right? Even if you're in the same network, sometimes like these come with their own private blockchain, even, right? So we have a ton of examples. And I don't want to like complain about this because really, where that really helps is in onboarding, as Andrey said, right? Custodial solutions have that advantage, at least to a certain extent, that they're kind of very easy to use. They can be web wallets, obviously, and these kinds of things. You don't have to think about recovery phrases. But I mean, recovery phrases put aside because I'm not a fan of those anyway. But they come with this big drawback that Alex mentioned, that actually they should be all regulated, right? So you actually need a license. It's not only like that in Korea. It's the same in Germany or in Europe or in North America, right? So it's basically the same across like basically the world. It's just that most people don't care. Most people who run a custodial wallet don't care about that. Obviously, the more professional ones, especially in gaming, like Flow, Dapper, right? They build solutions that come with all the compliance, but that makes it super hard for you as a user to come in and exit, right? So having exit liquidity from inside the Flow ecosystem is super hard, right? Then you have to KYC and stuff, and it's clear, right? You have like these companies are worrying about e-money licenses and these kinds of things, right? And I think that's crazy for kind of, we're talking about gaming. We're talking about gamers who basically just want to come in, play games, have fun, and then eventually sell their stuff or reuse it in a different game or these kinds of things, right? So that's what we're talking about. And how we're tackling this is, yes, we are non-custodial. Yes, it's not the easiest possible way in terms of like the technical onboarding, although you basically can just log in with your Google account and then we take it from there. But what I think is very important is that you set the right incentives, right? And we take traditional gamers by their hands. We let them play games, traditional games, even like AA, AAA, traditional mobile titles with hundreds of millions of downloads that are Web 2 games. There's nothing Web 3 to them, but we add this kind of Web 3 component to these games. And this is how traditional gamers can actually discover what it's like to have an NFT, what it's like to hold that in your quote unquote wallet. We don't even have to call it wallet, but yeah, that's what we do right now, right? And then see what you can do from there. And if the stakes are high in terms of, hey, that's interesting, I would like to try more, then people will dive into that, right? So it doesn't break there, right? It doesn't have to break there simply because they know what they want, why they want to do that. And if they know why they don't want to do it, because they already hold NFTs or they already have assets, then it's much, much easier for them to discover. So essentially they're discovering by doing it.
That's awesome. And actually, I don't know what to think, Carl, but from what Adrian just said, it really translates, I think, what Skyweather is doing actually through the sequence wallets. What do you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's made some really fantastic points. And I think what everyone's saying today, and also I did watch a little bit of the snippet of talking of the panel on Wednesday, where you actually asked the game companies what they think. I think the most important thing to kind of hone in on is that at all times, not one game company has ever come to us or ever mentioned, I want access to my users' funds or my users' assets. No one's ever said that. Everyone has always said we need to obsess over the user onboarding and the user experience. Okay, so I think I want to take just 2 steps back quickly, because we want to think about why are we using blockchains? What's the point of a blockchain game? And I think Adrian touched on it. One of it is the interoperability, right? So that user has a game account and I can go and take that same wallet, which is my game account and my same game items, and I can move that across different games in the open metaverse. With that, we also facilitating ownership. So we're effectively telling our gamers that, hey, we want you to have full control over your items and full ownership over your game items. That is why we're leveraging blockchain. Now, if you then say, okay, we want you to have full ownership over your items, but now go and hold it in this custodial wallet that someone else also has access to, that's a bit contradictory in terms of what we're trying to achieve with Web3 gaming and blockchain gaming. So then what the current state that we have in the industry right now is that automatically everyone associates a custodial wallet solution as being a better onboarding experience. Okay, but the reason for that is purely because of 2 things. Number one is because generally custodial wallets have been the only ones with an email or a social login process. So 2 clicks and you sign in with your email or your social login. That's not factually correct anymore, because now there are non-custodial solutions such as Sequence where you can sign in with an email or with a social account. Then the second part is around seed phrases. Seed phrases is generally the biggest barrier to entry in terms of user onboarding, because you get you effectively, we've all done this, signing up for your first MetaMask account a few years ago and being told to write down these words on a piece of paper and put it on your pillow and not lose it or your life is over. It's just you lose 99% of your users through that process. And again, that was historically over the past few years, that's been correct, that the only way to bypass users needing to manage their own seed phrase is by holding that in custody for those users. But again, that's now no longer correct. So aspects like Sequence, where we have a smart contract and a multi-sig approach that has a 3-key management system in the background, that enables us to actually not need users to store their own seed phrase, but the users are the only ones with access to their 3 keys that govern access to their wallets. So remaining fully non-custodial and embracing that self-custody. So I think that's what we faced with right now, is more trying to just break down the industry narratives at the moment that automatically a custodial wallet is a better user experience, because it's actually not the case anymore, because technology has advanced to that next level. We've done that. There are a few other solutions out there that are also doing it as well. So that's really our focus at the moment, is the single and pretty much the only difference right now between a custodial solution and a non-custodial solution is the one has access to users' funds and the other does not. And I think that's the approach for us. And we really embarked on this from a Sequence perspective because we built the game, as you mentioned, Flav, Skyweaver. And our objective is for Skyweaver to be one of the biggest online trading card games there are. So we had to obsess over that full user onboarding process, which wallet creation is actually only the first step of that. And then you have a few other steps into that full user onboarding process into Web3, which are probably not the topic for today, but definitely another topic for another time. But I think, yeah, that's our definite approach is wallet technology has now advanced, and there is a way to remain non-custodial while still having a fantastic user experience. Yeah.
And actually, I think Alex, you're sharing the same approach, embracing self-custody, but trying to make it easy for the user, not having to tokenize or write down the private key or seed phrases. You mentioning OTP as well. So could you share more about it?
Yeah, no, I agree with basically everything Carla has mentioned. I think it's fantastic one of the reasons that I was excited for this panel is that I believe that a variety of different solutions such as Sequence or Face Wallet or other infrastructure wallet solutions that are coming up are exactly what we need for the betterment and improvement of this ecosystem. I think day by day, week by week, we're seeing not those industry crazy dynamic news about some other exchanges blowing up again, but the new solutions that are raising funds, but also building new features and in their product roadmap. That really also challenges and inspires our product developers and really everyone in our company. So with what Carl was saying about the whole multi-sig process, we applied that for actually our treasury management tool. We also, that's the way that we manage the client's keys for 2 out of 3 signing. But for Face Wallet, which is essentially for the Web3 game companies and in a non-custodial way, we actually use Shamir's secret sharing as our key management solution, meaning that we break the key into 2 pieces so that each key is used for different functionality. So the first key would be used upon the user signing when they verify themselves via their social account. So we currently support Apple, Google accounts signing. And after that, the second key would be used for actually verifying their transaction, which is done via the 6-digit PIN code that they set up with their phone number for the OTP recovery, which is a big part. So we really wanted to make sure that, especially when it comes to Korea, with an enormous e-commerce innovation going on, we wanted to replicate the exact Web2 experience where when they're making a transaction to buy groceries or electronics, whatever, we want that to be exactly the same for, purchasing NFTs and cryptos. And also the fact that it is happening all within the same environment in the game, whether it's web, mobile, PC download. I think that's extremely important so that you're minimizing any sort of distraction for users switching in and out of the gaming environment.
Okay, very interesting. And when you, Alex, when you're trying to onboard companies, are you talking about are you showing the same benefits of Face ID based on the fact they are building a game or building a DeFi apps? What do you feel like you want to highlight specific things of the wallet when you're talking to blockchain game companies based on the fact that they're building a game and they have the objective to acquire a big amount of users?
Yeah. So I think it all happened, if I look at the past, let's say, year and a half, it's been very interesting to see or observe the kind of learning curve that hundreds of game companies have been on. So particularly in Korea being the 4th largest gaming industry in the world, right? You have, let's say 50 largest gaming companies by market cap out of South Korea. Last year, they saw the explosive growth of X Infinity. I don't know if anybody on this panel has actually spent time trying to play that game. It's a mess. But you look at the actual revenue, the scale of revenue that it has generated and garnered in the gaming space overall, not just in the Web3 gaming space. So number one, the fact that it had garnered close to basically, I think it ranked something like the 4th largest annual revenue just in the gaming space, apple to apple. Second, the fact that it was X Infinity with that caliber of the game, that kind of, I think, excited a lot of gaming folks, but also pissed them off. The fact that, we have tens of millions of MAUs playing their Web2 games, and you're saying that, if we just convert make the jump from Web2 to Web3, then we can double, triple, 10x their revenue, right? So there's a lot of excitement. Last year, we've talked to, I think, easily over 150 game companies in and out of Korea. When we began the conversation, a lot of the conversation started with game companies, C-level folks saying, look, I want to replicate what X Infinity did, what We did with their Mir 4, but we don't know what to do. We don't know where to start, right? And they were looking for some sort of a turnkey solution so that all of a sudden now it's a blockchain game. But now they've gotten on their own learning scale, right? Learning curve in a way that, we need to come up with a smart contract. So it needs to be audited first. We need to manage our communities organically. And I think where they are now is, as everybody on this panel was saying, that they want to ensure that at the core of their Web3 gaming, there is an authentic sense of trust among the users, that whether it's their assets, whether it's their gaming experience, it's always going to be on users' hands, right? Which is exactly why the birth of blockchain gaming happened in the first place. So this is a long way of saying, I think I'm just kind of coming back to my very initial point, which is when I talk to these game companies, rarely will the topic of custody or non-custody will come up. Even they just care about, all right, well, can we trust you guys to provide the solution so that we actually don't even have to worry about it? I believe that when you look at the Web2 progression of how API and SaaS solution has enabled the very quick and easy and safe onboarding or transactions, it's actually quite similar in my opinion.
Actually, Carl, some question for you. Obviously, I guess as you're leading the business development of Sequence, when you're talking with different companies, do you feel like you're having different conversation based on the fact they are blockchain game companies, where you could highlight what you just are doing with Skyweaver, or are you having different conversation with other companies as well?
No, look, it's pretty similar across various companies. Everyone's obsessing over the user onboarding experience. So what we've been able to do with Skyweaver, and actually quite fortunately, we get a lot of businesses coming to us and saying, hey, we just want to replicate what you did with Skyweaver. How did you do it? Which has been awesome. So then we're able to kind of take them through that process, because Skyweaver effectively helped us to hone what we wanted and can enable through that user onboarding experience. Because as I mentioned a little bit earlier, that onboarding experience doesn't just stop with an easy wallet creation. You know, getting into Web3 gaming is a lot more. You have to think about, how do I get access to tokens? How do I fund my wallet? How can I access it? You know, accessibility, Adrian mentioned it a little bit earlier as well. If you think about the general internet users today, how many of them actually ever use a Google Chrome extension? Not too many. So we have to really think about that accessibility aspect. You know, everyone's used to using a mobile app or just accessing something through a web page. And that's what we've done with Sequence as well. So we've really been a bit more focused on solving that entire user onboarding process for games, and then also helping them just to understand the role of a wallet within a game as well, because we do also quite often get questions around, hey, can I customize the interface, and can I change the colors, and can I change how it looks and everything like that? And I think that's also quite important to understand that, you know, the wallet is effectively the user's tool. That's the user's passport and bank to all of Web3. If you're wanting to customize the interface of a wallet or something like that, then from a game perspective, you're actually trying to put the wallet to front and center. Then you need to do a bit of research into NFT and token gating APIs. Those APIs can allow you to then look at what does a user hold in their connected wallet, and then you can actually pull that into a game interface, build your own backpack or inventory that a user can then see. So we spend a bit more time just kind of guiding the game studios on those various elements, all of which we have covered off with Skyweaver. And it is interesting. There are a few different nuances across different countries. You know, there are some countries out there that they're actually not opposed to custody or or custodial solutions or anything like that. So then it becomes less about us pitching Sequence as a non-custodial user onboarding experience, and more just about, this is the user onboarding experience into Web3 gaming.
Adrian, do you agree? Because I know that you're putting as many efforts to explain to onboard gamers into Web3, but also educate about DeFi so on your platform. So are there different conversations, or actually you talking about the same benefits as well?
Sure, did you say Adrian or Andrey?
Adrian. It was a mix of the two, I guess. It was my French accent. Sorry for that. Adrian.
No worries. Yeah, so I guess that what I find funny when in this discussion is how everyone has a different angle at how you view kind of the benefits and each kind of different solution. And really, to us, that's also why DeFi is coming into play. It's really about the assets in the assets in essence, right? So that's why we do Web3, right? And everything that we do in Web3 that, or at least when it comes to gaming, obviously there's different applications for that, right? But if you talk about the assets, this is exactly where, kind of from our perspective, the interoperability comes from. And interoperability can mean a lot of things, right? We're actually not talking about this kind of prototypical, hey, you can use Fortnite assets or Fortnite guns in CSGO, right? That's exactly not what we're talking about, because only 10% of that is a blockchain/Web3 problem, and everything else is kind of how do we figure out what that looks like, what that sounds like, who can use it, how much damage it does, and so on, and so all kinds of commercial questions, right? So what we're talking about is kind of the base layer of interoperability is basically some kind of economic interoperability, right? You can basically just, you've played a game, you flip items or assets from this one game into assets in another game, and you get a head start on this other game. Like, that is interoperability already, right? And so this is what everyone will want, right? This is what every gamer will actually want. That, like, if you just talk about this concept, right, without even mentioning Web3 or keys or wallets or custodial or whatever, pretty much every gamer would agree that this would be really cool, right? And pretty much every gamer who has played 20 years ago would say this would be pretty cool, right? So it really boils down to, what do we gain from applying Web3, and why is this, right? And it's like pretty much all these arguments are based on assets, on the question of assets, right? And there, obviously, DeFi comes into play, and this is what I want to, what I as a person, but also us as a company, and basically everyone in the space should actually want to enable users to do, is basically use their assets for something else, right? So, I don't know, storing them, like having game tokens, having AXS tokens that you got from playing Axie Infinity, and put them in a yield farm, whatever. Why not, right? And obviously you can, like, it's all about the UX and the UI, and it needs to be a good experience. People need to understand what kind of the risks are and so on. But we're building all these base layer, building parts, the building blocks, right? And then the users will be able, and everyone else building on top of that will be able to reuse that for, like, all kinds of cool things, right? Where we actually make games interoperable based on their assets. And then we can still talk about the social aspect of that, right? Because that's where you essentially, as a gamer, if you're playing, I don't know, MMORPGs, right? You collect all your cool stuff. You want to show that off. That's why you're wearing impressive stuff. That's why you're buying dances in Fortnite. Sorry, I got a little bit of kids noise. I hope it's not too loud. That's why you're buying Fortnite dances or skins in CSGO, whatever, right? Because you want to show off. And now with NFTs, for instance, you can do that across all the games, right? You have this one identity, or whatever you want to call that, right? And all these assets attached to it. And this can be kind of this one place, right? Where you can show off what you got. And actually, whether it got minted to you by the game or whether you just bought it on a marketplace, because you also see all the history of it, right? And that's where really the power is, and this is what we need to enable gamers to do. And this is what I think is going to convince all kinds of gamers to be on board into Web3 once they understand what's actually going on and what they can do.
Okay, and on that matter as well, Andrey. So interoperability, I think, is also a base layer for your platform, I think, as well. You also are promoting multi-chain on your platform as well. Could you explain a little bit about?
Sure. I just want to comment on the discussion regarding Axie Infinity. I'm a gamer. I started to play games when I was 11. I played the games all my life, and games is content. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It's supposed to be fun. And Axie Infinity, amazing game in terms of numbers. In terms of user experience, for me, it's not the same type of game that I believe that will change the crypto industry. Why? Because at the end of the day, you have assets, Adrian, and you want to use these assets across different games, but I need to enjoy playing these games. I want to use these items in different games because I love them, not because I can make money. Gamers are spenders. you can barely find gamers that come in to play a game because they're looking to do $3 per day. This is not a cup of tea.
Totally.
The DeFi stuff, it's cool if it can create not money, it can create another in-game benefits. And if we're going to this direction, it's super interesting because DeFi combined with top games can create amazing things. Yeah, and it can create a different type of game economy, and everything, of course, based on game economy, game mechanics. But right now, they're still not there because the top quality game, it's taking just too much time to build it, to develop it. It's not just matter of 1 year. In 1 year, you're not building like a Diablo Immortal. Yeah, how much time they spend to build this game? So I do believe that the next big evolution of crypto space, and the next bull run will be led by gaming because of numbers. 3.2 billion gamers are just waiting for something interesting, something that they can spend time and enjoy. And once the fun will tackle to Web3, we'll find a new story of industries that are growing up. Regarding interoperability, yeah, we have different chains and they're popping up all the time. And you want to support all of them. Why? Because you have interesting content on Avalanche and Polygon and the different other chains that come in, pretty frequently. And in order to support it, the biggest challenge, of course, it's a user experience. How you're taking the guy with MetaMask to Solana, yeah, and how you're doing it without compromising on the flow. The flow is supposed to be seamless, simple. What Alex and the team are building is amazing because at the end of the day, I want in-game experience. I don't want to see new tabs. I want to see everything here and now. Right now, in order to take you from MetaMask to Phantom Wallet, I need a bridge. And in most of the cases, it's external bridge, external wallets. I need to approve it with other extensions. The user experience is bad, it's broken. And we are working to somehow to make it smoother. Right now, the technology, for example, if you have MetaMask and Trust Wallet on the both extensions, and you want to approve something with MetaMask while the Trust Wallet is installed, you can't do it. Why? Because the Trust Wallet will be shown up first, even if you're pressing on MetaMask. So we need to fix the user experience, and after the user experience, they will be guided by proper technologies, more collaborations between the companies. And then, of course, we are giving you bridges in order to transfer your funds from one wallet to another. But I can tell you for sure that right now we are not happy with the results because the users are still need to understand what they're doing, and the learning curve actually killing it's killing your retention and conversion whatsoever. But we are in the process of allowing users to use all the protocols with as less actions as possible.
Awesome, perfect segue actually, Andrey, for my last question for you all, because I hope you know that we launched yesterday morning our BGA member survey report when we ask our members, so as you are, their feedback about the state of the blockchain gaming industry based on what they are building, the status of the company they are handling as well. And we had a lot of questions, and one of the key points that we highlighted in this report was that about the challenges facing blockchain gaming industry. At least half of respondents, 51%, believe that players onboarding and accessibility is the biggest challenge being experienced by the industry. And I think you kind of just confirmed that, Andrey, on your side, but Carl, Adrian, Alex, and if you want to add something, Andrey, of course. What do you think, Carl, to start with?
I think all the 51% of those people who did vote that player onboarding is difficult, reach out, let's chat, because I think we can definitely help with that. But yeah, I think what I just wanted to really get through to the audience today is that technology's come a long way, and I think it's important to keep up with current technology, and we've always put the user first, and we always will continue to put the user first, and that's what drives us in terms of what we do at Horizon in that sequence. But we put the user first in the context of remaining true to the Web3 ethos in terms of what we're trying to achieve with ownership and with decentralization and non-custodial kind of approaches to everything. I think 2022 was an incredible year for the markets and for crypto. We saw a lot of issues, and I think a lot of those issues that we saw were all due to custodial solutions. So I think the benefit that as we come out of quite a difficult year in that regard, I think the future is incredibly bright because we're having conversations such as these. We are seeing that there is technology available to do things better in multiple ways, not only from the user experience perspective, but also from the decentralization perspective. And I think that's really exciting. And I think what's even more exciting is actually to build on to what Andrey said, is that the kind of games that we are seeing about to come out over the course of this year and still into next year, these games at their core are fun, enjoyable, engaging games that are leveraging Web3 tech. And I think that's really where we are going to see some exciting things come out, and it's going to be a very interesting year ahead.
You're actually confirming the positiveness that we saw in the report for 2023 and beyond. So, Alex, do you share the same mindset?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously too early to pop the champagne, far early, but we're very, very excited because I think Andrey, you touched upon this. You mentioned that Web3 gaming will sort of lead the next bull cycle. I think I would even go further and say that the Web3 mass adoption will actually be largely driven by the gaming sector. If you look at the Web3 sector overall, gaming by far has dominating the sector over DeFi or NFT projects, and I think there's a reason for that. But if you take a step back and think, well, then how would this industry acceleration, innovation would happen from the standpoint of these game makers? I do believe that while the end user experience is super important, I think if you take a step back, the user experience of our B2B partners themselves when launching and operating a Web3 game is very, very critical, which is why the infrastructure comes as their top concern. Things like security, building a safe way for users to not only log in and be onboarded, but support all of the activities, in-game activities that touch upon the Web3 aspects, right? So everything that's related to transactions. So for that to happen, I would like to also echo Carl's point. Come chat with us with Haechi Labs. I think that I would be mostly speaking to game makers instead of end users at this point. If you're creating a game and if you're also as excited as us in terms of creating your own Web3 game, regardless of your size, regardless of where you're from, we'll be excited to help you from soup to nuts, basically from smart contract auditing to how you can safely manage your treasury, all the way to helping you launch and operate your game with a non-custodial wallet that lives inside your game as part of the game service. So I know we kind of started as the whole, non-custody versus custody. I'll just wrap up my statement by saying, I remember a long time ago, we used to, there was a time when we had to rely on a landline connection to a physical modem to connect to an internet to write a piece of blog. And I think that the current way that users rely on a seed phrase is something similar of that sort of experience, So I think that we're all here to make a step-by-step innovation. And thanks again for this opportunity to share where we are.
No, thank you, Alex. And obviously, the idea of that panel was obviously to have your opinion, but also share what you're doing and share your contact information as well. So every four of you, if you would like to share any information I should in this video, please tell me so, and I will make Adrian, and I will let the mic open, Adrian, and I will let the mic open for Andrey if you want to add anything about the chat that we will face as the blockchain gaming industry for 2023. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I think
yeah, let's start with Adrian, and after that, Andrey.
Again, so yeah, I do agree that the onboarding experience is a big part, but also essentially, I mentioned that earlier, making sure that gamers understand why they would need this extra solution in case they need it, right? Because there's typically whatever kind of extra solution attached to that, like let's call it a wallet, right? Where you actually a place where you store all your stuff, and you typically used to not have that in kind of the traditional space unless, well, yeah, okay, you have all these kind of publisher account kind of things, and you have, I don't know, your Steam account and these kinds of things, right? But essentially, most of the time, you wouldn't necessarily need that. It would be optional and these kinds of things. So I guess that Web3 gaming is already going that route, right? Where a lot of games don't require you to have a wallet up front. They don't require you to hold NFTs up front. It's kind of what many people call the Web 2.5 approach, right? Where you kind of hide it in the background and you basically get to the stage where you would need that later. I'm not so sure whether that's kind of really the pattern that we'll see in the long run. But yeah, with all the games coming out this year or scheduled to come out this year, really exciting stuff. I think that we will actually show why gamers should onboard into Web3 and show the benefits, and they will kind of start understanding. And it's not going to be like a blast, like a boom, and it's happening, right? It's going to be a slow process in which more and more gamers will actually understand. And I think it's maybe going to be a transition like from premium games to free to play, which was also much slower than than it feels retrospectively, actually. And I still remember the times when premium game publishers would actually say, "Oh yeah, free to play. That's only for mobile games, right? That's never going to happen on desktop." And then Fortnite came, right? so these kinds of things always kind of change much slower than we expect, right? In terms of, okay, there's got to be this one cataclysmic event, and then this is going to happen. But I don't think it's going to happen like this. It's going to be a slow transition. It's going to be more and more games coming out that people actually want to play for their fun, obviously, right? And then they'll have that Web3 component to them, and that will sink in. And at some point, after, like, I had played Web3 games for like pretty much a year without playing any Web2 games during that time. And then when I got back into playing Web2 games, I was like, why am I doing this? Everything, like, as soon as I want to stop playing that game, everything will be lost. And in Web3, that's not the case, right? So I think that as soon as gamers have more and more of these events where they actually feel like, okay, that's actually really cool, they will not want to go back. And that is where we will actually onboard the 3 billion gamers.
Andrey, please.
Yeah, our observation based on the traffic right now, like 80% of all the users that come into Magic Store, they're interested in gaming. And another statistics based on what Apple showing us, that more than 90% of all the games in App Store, or traffic that come into App Store, related to gaming. So gaming is definitely the next evolution of a crypto space. The challenges are definitely there, but the benefits are bigger than the challenge. So we will see more and more from these 2.2 billion users are coming into the Web3. And I do believe that, in 1990s, we started to move from low tech to high tech. Yeah. in 2000s, we see how the trend actually is boosted up with more and more adoption. More companies came into the space. In 2010, generally, we saw the new industry is burning up, crypto space. And I do believe that we will see transition of tech companies, of Web 2 to Web 3. It started, more and more companies adopting it. And gaming, it's going to be the biggest industry, and that growing rapidly. We see many games day by day. So we are just in the beginning of the biggest trend of the market. We just need to wait for the macroeconomics statistics, to macroeconomics to improve and to get on the next big wave. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for everyone to share your opinion and actually experience and all the different tools and solutions that you are offering yourself. It was very great to have this conversation with you. I wish you all a very good day. For one of you, a good holiday. Rest well, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Happy
everyone.
belated New Year.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.